Fisker is preparing for a possible bankruptcy filing and is hiring restructuring advisors. Fisker stock is down 40% in the after hours. That was yesterday, and right now, Fisker stock is down 53% in just one single day. So today, another Tesla killer is acquitted of all charges. It's almost like every week I make the same video. A Tesla killer is now getting killed. I expect to see more. Shout out to AJ for predicting this bankruptcy a few months ago. With Fisker reportedly hiring bankruptcy consultants, yeah, I think it's pretty much safe to say it's over for them.
State separation.
Elon today made history, but I'll get into that later in the video. Henrik Fisker, the CEO of Fisker, purchased a $22 million home 2.5 years ago, right after the IPO, I assume. And AJ says, given this is Henrik's second large-scale bankruptcy, the previous one was 10 years ago, he thinks that he will try one more, probably in the robotics field. His wife, by the way, is the CFO of the company. He is not selling his house. He's actually putting it up for rent. $125,000 per month. That's a lot. I have never paid this much in rent. I once stayed for, relatively speaking, quite a while in a $17 million property, and the rent for that one was 32,000 Canadian dollars. So nothing close to 125,000 USD. Someone says MKBHD really destroyed this whole man's life. Remember this? This is the worst car I've ever reviewed from Marcus Brownlee. This was a Fisker vehicle. But this was coming for them whether Marcus Brownlee posted that video or not. Steven commented on the house. What a dumb, doesn't even have a production line you can sleep on. We just crossed out Fisker from this chart. Who do you think is going to be next? Now, in the short term, this is actually not good news for Tesla, because it creates more pressure on the whole EV industry when a name like Fisker goes out of business basically completely. But in the long term, what this does accomplish is it reduces Tesla's competition, and then Tesla later on can dominate the industry easier. So there's no arguing that Tesla's price cuts have impacted the competition. And in the short term, that of course impacts Tesla as well. And you can see that in the stock price. But in the long term, I don't think this is a bad strategy. If you are willing to hold Tesla stock for the long term, I think this is a pretty good strategy. Just as long you can hold Tesla stock through this noise, and I expect a lot of noise. Is Lucid going to be the next Fisker going out of business? I think it's relatively unlikely that they would just outright declare bankruptcy, because the Saudis have a long track record of funding companies that appear to be not exactly in the best place, even long term. So I don't expect a hard bankruptcy case similar to Fisker, but a take private or a merger with another company. Yeah, these are certainly possible. I think taking the company private is very likely. In the last 5 days, Lucid stock has dropped further. The market cap is now around $6 billion. And they burn about $700 million per quarter. And then building new vehicles, next generation vehicles, will increase the cash burn. So for these reasons, any capital raises by Lucid will have to start with a $2 billion number at least to provide enough runway. But its market cap is 6.4 billion only. So if the stock drops even further, with the market cap being even lower, I think the drop eventually would accelerate, because Lucid would need to raise a lot of money just to get by, but with a lower market cap, that becomes less and less and less likely, therefore further accelerating the drop of the stock. So based on that, AJ expects Lucid to drop precipitously once they drop below $4.5 billion in market value. This is pretty big news for Tesla. Tesla will bring electric semi truck production to Berlin. Volume production, however, will still start in the US first. Elon specifically said, I think it makes sense to produce the Tesla Semi in Europe in Gigafactory Berlin. There's no timeline though. In the meantime, Dan Ives reiterates his $315 12-month Tesla stock price target. This further reinforces that Tesla will eventually solve full self-driving, because look at this. V12 driving style in New York City blew my mind. It purposely drove different in NYC than it did in Austin, Texas.
Car with no flashers on. We got a van with flashers on.
It's gonna do it. Oh my god.
We got a pedestrian who's probably in this car. And that pedestrian was in that car. And it threaded that. That wasn't a needle, but that was challenging.
And FSD Beta v12.3 is rolling out to more people now. Elon hyped up that version. We'll see how much of an improvement it actually has compared to this last previous version. But I'm certainly excited about it. And FSD v12 has proven to be quite a bit better already. But if you do drive it, make sure that you pay attention. It's definitely not perfect.